Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Ed, and I have with me Dan B or Dan Bobek.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How have you been? He's actually been on the podcast before,
Yeah.
and it's been a hot minute since I've actually recorded a podcast, so I'm so grateful to have him here with me today and just hang out and talk. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that's happened this year. It's 2020. We are now into June. It's been 6 months since I've done a podcast, so a lot is happening. We don't necessarily have to talk about that because I mean, everybody's heard and seen about all they need to see and hear
Yeah,
at this
pretty
point,
much.
right?
Pretty much, I would think so.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to say where he lives for privacy reasons, but he lives in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes away, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say something around there.
And his area is kind of in the same size-wise, population-wise compared to the Quad Cities. I mean, it's a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller.
I don't know. It's probably similar. Just similar.
Yeah, and some people already probably know where he lives if they're watching this. And
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't have to be a big secret. But
I don't make it a huge secret. But
we didn't sign anything ahead of time for me to talk about that. So, and come to think of it, I don't know if maybe I should have folks sign when they're over here for some reason or another. Like, if something bad happens or they drink too much alcohol, maybe, possibly. We don't drink alcohol though tonight. We're actually going to be drinking coffee. We've got some Starbucks that I brewed up earlier. So cheers to you for coming over,
Oh,
sir.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should touch.
Yeah. You got to keep social distancing. It looks like we're really close. This is 6 feet away.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, by the way.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, I know we tried to do this a month ago, but it didn't. Yeah.
Right, or maybe a couple of months ago now.
Maybe it was, yeah.
Or maybe it was a month ago.
I think it was supposed to be May, the beginning of May. And then I think like about a week beforehand, I'm like, I don't know if we're out of this yet. Let's
Yeah.
see what we can do later.
Well, we're just trying to play it safe, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we don't want to spread the COVID around or the coronavirus or whatever you want to call it, I suppose. As I saw earlier, or the beer virus, corona beer virus, either way. I know it's dorky and we're all tired of it, and the memes were funny. Now they're just probably getting a little old. What's the latest one? Oh, I just realized. So have you seen a lot of that from where you're at over there in that area with protests or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot going on there, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, they're having big protests every night, thousands of people.
Thousands? Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we had 1,000 people marching past 2 days. I don't know about tonight, but
Wow. I mean, that's good. People are out there protesting, peaceful protesting, hopefully.
mostly, I mean, like the town is, I'll just say it. I'm in Iowa City, and the town there is where the protesters have been. There's a lot of graffiti and stuff like that.
Oh.
I mean, that's better than destroying a bunch of stuff or whatever, but
True.
and at the same time I get their anger, but yeah, I mean it's I guess it was peaceful until the other night, like not last night but the night before. The protester tried to get on the highway and cops like used tear gas and stuff. It was
Pretty
unfortunate.
crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it reminds me of when Donald Trump got elected. I remember there was like kids laying down in the highway or something out in the highway because of the fact
wow.
that Hillary didn't get elected, and a lot of people got emotional over that.
Sure.
And trying to keep this as neutral as possible right now because I don't like talking politics really.
Yeah, me either.
Or I know social issue would be social issues for the Black Lives Matter. Is that what that would be, or would that be something else? Would you?
I guess that's social issues.
I guess either way, we're not trying to create a lot of drama, but it's just kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't avoid it, really. It's just something it's part of modern times, I think.
Maybe it's good that we're getting it out of the way too, because we got a
Yeah.
lot to talk about. Dan, when we originally had this planned, it was kind of, didn't it coincidentally enough fall on the date of a release for you?
Yeah, it used to be, because I released the album on the first, I believe, the first or the second. I don't even remember now, but
So for those that don't know the album,
yeah.
right, what is the album?
The album is by a band called Bobobot. The band is called Bobobot. And then the album's called The Singularity. And it's just a concept album that I had. And behind it is kind of like, it's supposed to be from the view of Bobobot. So I don't know how to articulate that anymore without having you hear it.
That's okay. And I'll have links below for some, for his spots. You can go check it out, which I listen to him on Google Play Music. But you can, I know it's what, iTunes probably.
Yeah, it's anywhere that has streaming music, you can
Yeah,
hear it. So
exactly. So, and then the previous podcast that I had with Dan, which we actually looked up earlier, was what, 18, right?
2018, yeah.
Or what, I can't remember what month, but either way. So, in the first podcast, if you're interested, definitely go back and check that out, because we talk about, if I remember correctly, asked how you started with music, and how you've kind of worked your way through life playing music. And then Nirvana we talked about, of course, and you do original music, of course, too. But I met him through Nirvana when he played, if I remember correctly, at a gig that a previous band, I'll call it previous now instead of current, Motorboat out of that Iowa City area. We played at I feel it was a Halloween show, or was it just a benefit? It was over there at J&A Tap. And
yeah, I remember it being Halloween because Joe dressed up as what's her name from Stranger Things, the girl.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was there. It was at a Halloween benefit.
Yeah.
I was pretty close. I was spot on then, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And and I met them there. Talked to him more. Not that there's anything wrong with the other members. I don't think I really talked to the other members as much as I talked to Dan. But anyway, we did the podcast, went through his history of music, and now with his, he just released this concept album that he was talking about. So I was curious, how did you come to this point where you said, I want to do this? Or has it been thoughts over the years? Did you have an epiphany? Or you know what I'm saying? What made you decide to do this and create this character or this band?
Yeah, well, I've, since talking with you last time, I've had an original project I've been working on with two other dudes.
Yeah.
And we've gotten like 40 songs together, and we've recorded them, like demo style. They're multi-track recordings, but they're not perfect or anything. So, we've been trying to take those songs and turn them into an album. Mm-hmm. And it's been a hard thing to do. I mean, we've got like 3 songs that are album worthy out of the 40 that we have. Like, we've gone back and re-recorded them and made them perfect or whatever. And things were slowing down with that a little bit. So like in my spare time, whenever I wanted to do music, I just would work on this project. And some of the songs were like songs I had previously written just here and there. But I got into, I don't know if you know who Dan Harmon is.
Yeah, Dan Harmon's the guy from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
Yeah, so he's one of the writers, directors.
Right, he's a writer, director, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I started reading up on how he constructs a story. And I got really inspired to be like, I wonder if I can construct a story that way, but through music and songs. And what he has is a story circle, and it's 8 layers of, 8 bits are a story. And so I just decided to take each song and, rewrite some of them and do different things and write full new ones as well, and turn it into a complete story. So there's stories within the songs themselves, and then all the songs equal one big story. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, wow, this is really fun and inspiring. And yeah, I probably had the album ready in like 2 months. So
that quickly? Yeah. Lyrics, music, and everything? Yeah. Or was the music kind of hanging out there, the riffs and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I had the riffs, I had the music. For most of it, I had like general ideas. The Bobobot song was something I was just riffing on, the very first track. I just had this riff, and it used to be called Dr. Robo. I'd be like, just stream of consciousness, like, hello, Dr. Robo, how are you? And I was thinking of Dr. Robotnik from Sonic, Sonic. But, then I went back and listened to it, and I'm like, okay, I can make this into something, and then you just mold it, and whatever.
Right. Yeah, and then kind of work with it.
Yeah, and having a full story laid out before me really made that easier to, I wrote down the whole story and how I wanted it to begin and end. And so, yeah, the whole thing's a concept.
Very cool. And then do you have like a notebook from all the notes and things like you?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly on computer. Like,
oh, okay.
Like I didn't write too much out, but yeah, like if you look on my notepad on my phone, it's like
it's got it filled. Yeah,
tons and tons of ideas.
we're in a modern age, of course, so
Yeah.
we use things like that. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what style you would be if you'd be old school like that. I wouldn't be. Like, no, I'm not. I'm doing it on the computer.
Well, I mean, I'm the kind of person that's like, I'll be out and about and I'll have an idea and I'll be like, okay. And I'll just talk right into my phone and it's there.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Some voice notes and saves for later. Mm-hmm. Is it what brand is your phone?
It's iPhone.
It's an iPhone. So whatever the built-in app is, I'm sure on that, or did you get an app?
Yeah, there's just a notepad on it that comes with iPhone, and I
so
just
that's
use
the one.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't have an iPhone, but I've had iPads for work in the past, and yeah, I've seen that notes on there or whatever. So very cool. So get these ideas. Got a lot of music maybe you're already lined up, and then you start piecing it together. The process for you to write all the music, and you got to listen to it, of course, which I'm going to link it, but the backing vocals, all the layers, the samples, and so I mean, this is all done in your house, or
Yeah, everything was done in my house. There's one track called Brimstone Song, and
the one I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Gave me
we
a
were
vibe
talking-
from another band, but yeah, not in
Yeah.
a negative way, but I feel like, and I'm not trying to cut in front of it, but there's a lot of influence in the music too at the same time. Maybe bits and pieces. Maybe that's how I interpret it, and maybe that's the way he wants it to be too. But either way, so for the Brimstone song,
yeah. So for the Brimstone Song, that's the only song that I had outside help with, and the bass player that was in the band Milk Duct Tape laid down a bass track on it.
cool,
So that's the only song that I didn't do everything on.
cool, cool. Did he get like credit on the album or something like that, or?
You know what? I was like, hey, I'm going to put this out, and I didn't hear from him, and I forgot to credit him. So that's why I'm saying something here right now. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. He'll send the royalty checks later. No worries. Okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm assuming it's nice. I mean, you could get money from this, but is it just streaming and only streaming? This is like what is your mindset for that? Original music, it's not like you can probably expect to make millions off this. Not like
Right.
a lot of bands can't, even when they got a full backing, and things don't work. But what going into this, do you have any hopes or dreams or expectations of what you want it to do?
Well, I mean, when I decided, okay, I'm done with this, and I want to release it, and I want to make it a good release, I was done in February. And I sent it out for distribution and everything in February to be released in May, because I wanted to study how to release an album properly and like what's the best avenues to promote it and things like that. And so I did. I dove into music marketing and all those type
Very
of
cool.
things. Yeah,
Very
and,
cool.
and was really, really obsessed with that for about a month or two. And and then May hit, and I wasn't sure how to do it because, I mean, COVID was out there and stuff, and it just it ended up like a lot of the things that I hadn't planned were not able to be done anymore.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know.
What would make you happy with this album? What is something that at the end of the day you're like, yeah, this was fun. Or was it, no matter what, was it fun and worth it? And you don't care,
Okay, yeah. Well, I ended up actually pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it sounds great too.
Oh, thank
right?
you.
Mastered. If you did most of that at your house, you did a great job. Man.
Oh yeah, thanks.
It's awesome. It's top quality stuff too.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd mixed and mastered it and everything. I mean, I like I think we talked about this last time, but I was with Steve Albini. And
I was gonna mention it, but I was trying to wait for that moment. Be like, and I know last time you were here, we talked about you were there, and you learned so much from him. It was in France.
Yeah, France. Yeah.
Oh, I remember. No big deal.
Good job, yeah, man. And it's people are they expect, well, Steve Albini, like, he's so analog, and this whole album is so digital.
Yeah.
So I think it was almost like, okay, well, I've learned about all analog. Let's go into the digital realm and see what I can do there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, this is very digitally inspired. But you take the lessons you learn in analog and you bring them to the digital.
It carries over. Some of it does, right?
For sure. Especially now with certain plugins and things that you have, they act a lot like analog ones. So,
Sure.
They're meant to. But yeah, I was using like synths and stuff on this too, which I haven't really messed with too much.
Yeah, well, and I could tell. Like I said, I could hear throughout the album there's these fun samples and things that are in there, and The layers are just. What's the most layered track you've got? Excuse me.
I have no idea. It's been so long. I mean, I haven't looked at the track since February.
If you had to like guess,
If I had to guess, it'd be the last one, the last song. That thing was a
starts
monster.
an acoustic and
Yeah.
then works its way up to all different kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, because it starts really bare, and I think by the end it was like, I don't know, at least 40 tracks by the end of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you use when you're doing that at your house? Do you have a program you prefer to use?
I really like working in Reaper.
Reaper? Okay.
Yeah, Reaper's like my program of choice. That's how I edit video. Anything I edit, it's through Reaper pretty much.
I've heard of it, never used it.
Yeah, I mean it's like free to try forever. They don't care, But I bought a license for it because it was so useful to me that why not, support them.
Probably unlocks some other features too, I'm guessing, and everything.
Actually, the only thing it unlocks is the nag screen. It'll nag you for 5 seconds at the beginning, and that's it. That's the only thing that Reaper does.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I know a lot of other people use it and like it. And
Cool.
It's probably the most flexible DAW out there. But it also has the biggest learning curve.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, a lot of them have huge learning curves, in my opinions. I mean,
Sure.
what the heck? Which one do I use again? Mouse is out of range. That's why it doesn't work. There we go. What's it called? Help me out. Do you recognize this? Oh, Ableton.
Oh, Ableton. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been using.
Okay.
This Focusrite. I say this Focusrite. It's this red box. You can't really see. Maybe, yeah, you could probably see it.
Those are decent.
Yeah, I think it came with 2 different sets of free software. This and the other one that's more popular that I didn't really like as much for some reason. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say Pro Tools. It's not Pro Tools, is it?
It might come with a Pro Tools Lite or something.
I just ended up keeping Ableton or Ableton.
I don't really know.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Either way. Oh, I did forget to pull up one more app.
Oh.
Screen capture, in case I needed it for the screen up here to capture what we look at.
Okay.
Rookie mistake. It's been a while.
You got to get back in the flow.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Anyway, so now that's taken care of. So you're doing all that on Reaper, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Free software, but you support them.
Of course, yeah.
And they get nagged at the beginning of opening it up, which is fun, right?
Yeah, I don't need the nag screen.
I know. We're really distracting from the main part here of he's got this album. He's doing all these tracks at home, except for one song that he got help from a bass player, but he did everything else at the house, though, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. I mean, how long is that? 2 months?
Yeah, I mean, some of the songs, like that Brimstone song was a demo I had sent him several years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't have, finished lyrics. And I didn't, and I ended up chopping that all up. So like the bass track you hear is kind of chopped up,
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly what he played. I mean, it is what he played, but like some sections I lengthened or whatever, and I just would loop a part or,
Right.
That kind of thing. But yeah, so even though some of the songs were older, they were rewritten to fit this album.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And using that style that Dan Harmon uses for his writing on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the story circle.
Story circle. And I think I've seen like Instagram posts where he shows post-it notes or something that maybe it's another style of writing they do, but I thought I saw something where they were coming up and combining cards or post-it notes or something for ideas on storyboards or something.
Maybe.
But it didn't show the circle you were talking about. I think it just showed a couple of random, when you put 2 random things right next to each other, how funny they could actually be.
Oh, right.
But I don't know if you saw the Pickle Rick up there or not too.
No, I didn't. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan. So.
Yeah. I haven't seen the latest season yet because we don't, here at the house, I don't pay for whatever it is, cable or, DirecTV. So we just watch it on Hulu, or now it's HBO Max has it as well. So we watch the old episodes a lot. And then I think the contract says 6 months after the season's finished, and then it can be on streaming services. So
Right.
I've still got like 6 months to go before I can watch season 4. But
I just got impatient and bought the thing on Amazon.
oh, did you?
Yeah.
Just stream it.
Yeah, just stream the episodes on Amazon. I don't watch cable either. Like
Yeah.
who has time to
No.
do that?
Yeah. And also it's expensive too.
It is.
I mean, when I was paying for DirecTV back in the day just to get HBO, you
Mm-hmm.
just got to have the base to get, HBO. I mean, it was $100 and some a month, and then
Oh yeah.
I got HBO Now, and now HBO Max it turned into, which stayed the same price, $15 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and then Netflix on top of that, and
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of streaming services competing now too. So
yeah.
I assume the prices will, get more competitive. I hope.
that Disney one,
Yeah.
Disney one that came out, I ended up getting it for free for a year because I'm a Verizon customer.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
So I got lucky with that and watched a lot of The Simpsons. Forced the kids to watch, all the old Simpsons episodes with
Yeah.
me. And then, so there's that too. I mean, it's like all in Amazon. We never watch Amazon Prime streaming, but I have that because I have Prime membership, right? So I don't know. I guess not to distract from Bobobot. And by the way,
Oh, yeah.
do you say it Bobobot or do you say it Bobobot? What's the correct way to
I say Bobobot.
just Bobobot like that?
I mean,
Bobobot.
Yeah. And I don't know if where Bobobot comes from is kind of an interesting little story, I think.
Please share.
I mean, the idea was always to have a robot, an artificial intelligence of some kind, and I wanted to name it something. And I just remember from my childhood, there was an anime I used to watch when I was a kid, and it was, I think it was called Transwar Z, and they had like all these different robots that people would go in their heads and they would, control them. And the Bobobot was created by like the buffoon of the group. So he was like the comic relief robot. But the weird part is I remembered this when I was making the album and I'm like looking up Bobobot. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like,
Nothing.
what happened?
No reference.
No references, no nothing. And I asked around and someone told me that they redubbed the episodes later on and changed his name to Boss Robot. So like Bobobot doesn't really exist anymore, the old Bobobot thing.
He does now.
Yeah, so I mean, and on the front cover of the album, that's a friend of mine drew that cover for me out of just we kind of threw some ideas at each other. And originally he had like almost a generic looking robot, and I said, hey, could you make it look like this Bobobot character? And I found a reference of the Boss Robot and sent it to him.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was like, oh cool, yeah, I'll do that. But so yeah, that's the story of Bobobot. Like I just thought it was interesting that he doesn't really exist in media anymore
Because of that.
because someone redubbed it, because it got bought and redubbed or something.
Some marketing department said, no,
Yeah.
don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he does, and that's why it's called that. And the picture on the album, which maybe I'll do one of these, you can see it in the bottom corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a robot with a heart in the top right, the Bobobot, and then it's got the lines that go to the robot and the human, or I don't know, the android and the flesh or whatever you call it.
Uh-huh.
Is that basically bringing towards or drawing away from?
Well, that was his idea.
Right. And who's the artist? Say his name. Can you say his name?
Yeah, it's his name is Alex Rudisell.
Good job, Alex. Right.
Yeah.
Should we link him, or you probably check with him first? I'm sure he won't mind, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll
Does
link
he have other stuff?
like he's got an Instagram you can follow.
Maybe
and
let's do that.
he does artwork for a lot of like heavier bands, like
Does he?
Yeah, like a lot of his artwork is almost in satanic territory where I mean like he kind of does that kind of dark demon art, you know what I'm saying?
Does he do like band names where you can't read the font?
Yes, he did one like
those are cool, I guess,
Oh yeah, I mean,
think so.
He thinks. I mean, obviously he knows how ridiculous it is because he made like a shirt that said black coffee, but it's all in that weird font that you can't really read, and it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like the memes or trying to guess what the band names are and stuff, and
Right.
some of them are way out there too. It's really crazy, the font or whatever, the script, if you will. So so props to him for coming up with a pretty badass album cover, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought that looked pretty professional too.
Yeah, man, he was. he did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, he went to school for graphic design and that, so I know.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
he's a pro.
Gotcha. And the other part of this Bobobot, and it's funny earlier when I was thinking about the name, the Bobobot name and how's it actually the enunciation or however you say I kept saying Bobobot really fast, and then in my mind, my music mind, I came up with Bobobot, 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 and the reason why that came up is because it's the beginning of a newer Slipknot song called Custer. You can hear Jim Root, who's one of the guitar players. You can hear him trying to explain to everybody how to start the song or how the rhythm goes. He goes da 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 da, and then I kept saying Bobobot earlier, and I kept going Bobobot, 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 Bobobot. Random, weird. If you get the reference for the song, great. If not, I'm just a dork here. But that's what I was asking. How do you say it? What's the correct way? And I've heard and here's the other half too, is he's got Instagram. He's got an Instagram page, which I'll link like last time, but he does these stories on Instagram. So basically he's got the character, the Bobobot character, and, it's some fun stuff with that. And, it's got music tied in with it too on a couple of them, right?
Sure, yeah.
Is that all done by you then?
Yeah.
Are these just filters on Instagram that you're using to create these, or is it what are you using?
I use whatever I can. It's like, guerrilla tactics where it's just like if I can find a filter that works, awesome. Like whatever I can do to achieve the goal I want to get.
Yeah.
And quickly, then I'll do it.
Efficiently. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like with Bobobot, that's a filter. And then, but I'll go post-process it and put scan lines on it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got to see this stuff.
But yeah, I mean, like the video for I Am Bobobot, I don't know if you've seen that or not, but that's like some filters and it's just an effects smorgasbord. Is kind of what that is.
Which makes sense on a concept album like that. With the styles of music, it makes sense to have something kind of out there a little bit too. I don't mean out there in a bad way, right?
Right.
It's very cool. It's very neat because it's like I try to think about how to compare it to anything. I was trying to tell him earlier. It's like a journey, right? And then later we talked, which makes sense. He says it's a concept album, which I get it, right? The influences we talked about earlier, they're all over the place, all over on the album. I got vibes from a lot of, and I think you're slightly older than me if I remember correctly, but there's a lot of crossover for music. I'm guessing we both have listened to.
Oh, probably.
At our lives. And like, he asked me earlier if I knew who the Screaming Trees were. And of course I know who the Screaming Trees are because it's kind of in that 90s, or, a lot of that 90s realm stuff, right? Including Nirvana, Nirvana. He's a bass player in a Nirvana cover tribute band. So
yeah.
What are the biggest influences and we may have talked about this on the last podcast, so I don't remember. What are some of the biggest influences for you or that you're thinking about? Or do you think you don't even think about it? It just naturally comes to you because it's maybe something you played repetitively in the past or listened to a lot in the past. So it just kind of makes its way into it. What do you think?
I think that's more accurate than, like, I'm not trying to copy anything really.
No, right. Yeah.
But like, when I'm writing, it's like I just pull it out of the ether, and sometimes it's like, oh, I totally ripped that off of this or something, but
yeah, it's not like like you said, it's not like he's trying to do it. I get that, but it's like, are there any strong influences?
There might be parts where I'll be like, oh, you know what, I want to hit this Pearl Jam vibe here or something, and I'll go for that on a certain section of the song, or I just have, but I'll just go for the vibe more so than anything. But generally when I write, it's just like I just go and riff until something grabs me and build off of that. So I don't know. It's nothing's ever like too purposeful.
Sure. Do you riff and create riffs on acoustic or electric?
Everything. Sometimes keyboard. sometimes bass.
But I'm asking though, for when you're writing these riffs, is it generally on an acoustic or is it generally on an electric? Like, what is the primary instrument you use if you're sitting down thinking, okay, let's go ahead and get some riffs going or some chord progressions going?
I mean, sometimes I'll just go into MIDI, lay down a drum track.
Oh, okay.
And then go, okay, where do I go from here? Maybe I'll grab a bass, okay, and play the bass line. Maybe I'll grab a guitar.
Start building your tracks up, right?
Yeah,
Using Reaper.
Yeah. It's just like I'll use recording as a writing tool, and I'll just put it on a loop until I find something I like, and then I'll be like, okay, keep that, and move on to the next section. And
just keep saving and going, right?
Yeah, just keep saving and going, and then sometimes you don't use any of it. Sometimes you use parts of it. Sometimes the whole song comes together.
Yeah.
So
how many files on your computer of Reaper files you think?
Oh my gosh.
1 million?
I mean, I know I have 2 different 2 terabyte hard drives that are full.
Jeez. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we got to put them somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been really prolific as far as writing goes. Like before computers, I had cassette recorders and I would just play and play and play. And I have just a huge box of tapes. Like I don't even want to go through them, but
they're there if you want to look back, right?
Yeah,
you can listen to some of that stuff
for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because the cassettes, right? And for some of the kids that are younger, they're watching this, don't even know what a cassette is.
Right.
But yeah, I remember those days too. Did you have like the typical one that was about this shape, this big, with the flip out on this side and the buttons and the speaker down on this side, kind of thing? Is that what it was for you, or?
Well, like when I was 17, I had a job and I saved up and bought a Tascam 4-track. So a lot of stuff was done on there until I wore out the motor on it because I was recording so much.
Right, yeah.
And then people would always be like, "Oh, he's got a 4-track. Let's go to his house and
yeah, because
use
you
it."
had the fancy piece of gear, right?
Right.
How much did that cost back then? You think, if you had to guess?
I think I paid $200 or $300 for it or something like that.
But
But in '90s money, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm curious now. I'm going to look it up because the Tascam 4-track, you said?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a Tascam.
Oh, what did that say I got to hit when I'm done recording? It's been so long. I think I forgot me hit F9?
Dude, I don't know.
F10. Okay. I'm just relearning how to do all this, kids. I say kids like it's only kids watching this. It's a joke, of course. All right. F10. Okay. Anyway, sorry. What were you telling me a second ago?
Well, about the 4-track or?
I don't know. I was just kind of a little bit distracted, unfortunately.
I got distracted by what you're doing. I'm like, oh, what is he doing over here?
Yeah, just trying to get the screen recorder going so I can put it, in the bottom corner like I usually do.
Oh,
so
okay.
I mean, we can watch it up here. So it was how do you pronounce that? Tascam?
Tascam, yeah.
So should I put like 90s on there? Would that be helpful?
Maybe.
90s. Wait for it. Something like those.
I mean, it kind of looks like that first one on there, but
top left, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure they made so many different models through the years. I'm guessing, right? But they probably kept the same style, I'd imagine, most of the time too. You can see how much they cost used. Shit, they're $200
yeah,
used.
they're still
$250,
kind
right?
of pricey, huh?
Kind of pricey for sure. Yeah.
Especially because you can't really get tapes that easily anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you just rely on having the tapes you already had before.
I guess.
You got to keep reusing them. Is that what it is?
I suppose.
But yeah.
There is a certain sound that they get that you can't get, digitally.
Is that kind of like using a tube amp, instead of,
Yeah, I mean,
solid state amp?
I think each recording device and the way it records has its own unique, fingerprint.
Yeah.
Just like if you record reel-to-reel tape, you're going to get a more warm thing than analog.
Right, yeah.
In analog now they have plugins that make it sound like reel-to-reel tape. I even saw a new one came out that makes it sound like you recorded on an old 4-track.
Oh.
Yeah, where it's like cassette tape.
Like a plugin for the Reaper software you're saying?
Yeah. And basically all that does is it adds some noise and EQs out some of the stuff that wouldn't be in there,
Yeah.
There's like certain high end and low end that analog tape can't catch, so it
Sure,
EQs that out.
It's funny how both sides of it have their advantages, though, right? The looking up at that, trying to make sense of whatever it is I'm looking at. You know, if I clicked on one of those just to kind of zoom in or get a bigger picture, which one would it be? You think
Of the one I had,
something close to it? Yeah, not the same.
Something close to it. Maybe that third one.
Top middle.
Yeah.
Try that one. Let's see here. Of course, really didn't make it that much bigger. But so you're looking at basically 4 channels or possibly a 5th channel? Does that one have 5 channels?
It has 4 and then a master.
Oh, okay. And then you got what, like EQs and stuff like that, or gain?
Yeah, it's like a high, low, and mid EQ.
Okay.
So
interesting.
it was a little different than that, but that looks like a little nicer one than the one I had. But
oh, is it?
Similar.
Well, you just plug in your 1/4-inch mono jack down below. Is that what that is?
Yep. That's all they had was 1/4-inch mono jacks. So
back then, yeah.
I mean, that's all I had to work with.
Oh, sure, yeah. So when you were doing the Albini experience, did you go through a lot of this kind of old school kind of stuff at all, or did he show off anything he had that was old school?
I mean, we did it in a studio that was located in France, and I mean, all their stuff is like pro gear, you know,
yeah.
like
So nothing old school there, probably.
I mean, like old school mics and stuff, like
Oh,
microphones that aren't even made anymore.
Microphone locker somewhere locked up tight.
Yeah, and he brought his own too from his own studio because he has certain mics that he really loves and has to put on anything. Yeah,
Chicago. You told me because that's why you guys were like, oh yeah, I'm down in Iowa. Or your mom's from Chicago.
yeah, I grew up in Chicago myself.
That's what. Okay, it's all coming back to me. I didn't rewatch the podcast from before, but I probably should have.
I probably should have too.
I'm remembering a lot of this stuff so far. Yeah, not too bad for like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
not bad at all.
But yeah, so you record that way back in the day, and now recording lyrics on your phone and recording everything in Reaper now, which is like a lot of DAWs. It's tracks, and he's up to 40 tracks possibly on one song, which is crazy. But it's really complex and a lot of cool stuff on it too, which makes it fun to listen to. So
I hope so.
Then we got Bobobot, which is a character for the concept album that he has on Instagram doing fun things with, and he has a music video for the I Am Bobobot. Right.
Yeah.
So is that the header, the first song on the album?
Yeah, it's the first song on the album.
Right.
And the idea is to do a video for each song to kind of show the story.
Are you going to do that?
Well, I started filming the second one.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put it out on the first, but things happened, and it's like I got a little sidetracked. I'm going to wait on it until it feels better.
Right. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Yep. You take as much time as you need to because it's your stuff. You do what you want.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So what's after this project then?
Well, hopefully I can get back with the other band and finish
write
that
originals.
up.
Or you already wrote them. You
got to record them and put them in proper form.
So where do you do that? At your house too?
No, our drummer. I've been working with this drummer for a long time.
The Nirvana drummer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've basically built a little studio in his basement, and we're doing it there.
Nice.
That's our practice space, and I've got a 16-track set up in there and stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So with a new way of recording, are you using like some kind of a digital analog mixer and recording everything through, or how are you recording everything at his place?
Yeah, with those guys. So I have 2 digital 8-track recorders.
Okay.
And they link together.
Yeah.
And you can do 16 tracks at once. And we just got everything mic'd up, and we record live, and then we go back and do overdubs, like vocal overdubs, and maybe another guitar or something, because it's only a 3-piece.
Right. I do remember that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah. So, I use this Zoom recorder back here for the podcast. I'm actually going to upgrade because I have hopes and dreams of expanding to have more than just one. It wouldn't be in here, obviously, because you can't see really the rest of the office, but this is it. I mean, I would have to get a completely different desk, to make something with more people work. So I'm thinking about getting instead of a 2-channel one, a 4-input XLR input one.
Okay.
And then actually just doing one out on the table out there, the dining table, because I got some friends, or a couple actually, that I wanted to bring over.
Uh-huh.
But I can't really make it work in this room So speaking, I'm just thinking about, channels and things like that. And you need 16, obviously, or sometimes less, sometimes more for a full band. Because if you think about it, you got drum kit that's going to have maybe, 4 or 5 microphones possibly
I
on it.
mean, the drum set I'm miking right now takes up 7.
There you go. So, I mean, depending on how many pieces you have, and then you got, well, I don't know, do you direct in on your bass?
Yeah, I do direct in on the bass, and then I just put a 57 up to the guitar cab.
Yeah. Tried and true, right?
Yeah.
So, and then but yeah, and then vocals, and how many of you guys sing in that?
2.
Two.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess what I was getting at with this is, small potatoes, big potatoes. I've got my digital mixer I use for the live band stuff that I do, and it does a pretty good job. It's got, I think it's 16 channels too, but what I like about it is a couple of them, you can either do a 1/4 inch mono in, or you can do the traditional XLR. So for like, keyboards, or what I'm trying to think of what else it would be too, like a sampler pad or something like that for a 1/4
Sure.
inch. Do you guys ever do anything with that band with like samplers or keyboards?
Not yet, no.
Because I know it's 3 people, but
Yeah.
didn't know if you like put anything else in the mix.
Yeah, no, not as such. I mean, the idea of it is kind of how simple can we keep it,
Yeah.
but still be interesting,
Yeah.
And I think we've done a good job. Like if people would just heard our demos, I think it sounds like 4 or 5 people sometimes.
Yeah, cool.
So,
All right. When are you expecting that's going to be done then? When do you think you're going to have that
I mean,
completed?
we were shooting for June before.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, so I don't know. We actually hung out for the first time on Wednesday since the whole
cool.
thing, and we just thought we'll hang out and we won't try music or anything. We'll just hang out and be distant,
Sure. Yeah.
And so we'll see. We're slowly going to get back to it, I think.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Nice. So, and then down the line, of course, you'll have to let me know, and we can, or maybe get you back on again too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
To talk about that. Again, it's fun to just promote and hang out and talk about music. And the great thing is that, you learn so much from people. And I know I could probably spend, an hour at least just learning stuff from you about music and how recordings work. If you had to share anything with people that are watching this right now for recording and doing your own music like that, that you've done time and time again, what would you recommend to them? Or if you had a top 3 or number 1 thing, do or don't do?
About recording?
Sure. Home recording or doing your own.
The number 1 thing is just do it. Just start recording and try to find the sounds that you want to get. And put them on tape, and keep going back until you find the sound. I don't know. I recently, during this COVID thing, a guy called me and said, "Hey, I'm buying this, 8-track that you have, and can you teach me how to use it?" And he's a drummer, and I was like, "Sure," and got on, with him and just basically sat him down, told him how to mic his drums up, and he's a drummer. And he learned really quick. I was just, basically told him, he's like, "Where should I put this kick?" And I'm like, "Just put it here to start and, move it around until you find the sound you like." That's all it is.
Was it a dynamic microphone?
Yeah, he bought like a kit of microphones on my suggestion. He had a budget, and I said, "Okay, this is the one you should probably get."
What did you end up getting? What's a good budget set?
I think he got a CAD, a CAD.
Yep, familiar.
Yeah, and I think he paid maybe $150 or something for it.
For the set, including how many mics?
I think it has, two or three toms, a snare, a kick, and 2 overheads. So
for the cymbals, by the way, that's what that means.
Yeah, for the cymbals.
Yep. It's funny because we could probably talk, because I'm on board with a lot of things you're talking about, but I guess for these people, sometimes I think I need to clarify a little bit.
That's okay.
Not for you, don't have to. I be trying to help out, but I was going to say dynamic mics. I did it earlier. I said something, and of course, for those that don't understand, I guess dynamic mics versus condensers versus. Gosh, I mean, there's probably quite a few, right? Ribbon style and shotgun style and all these different variants. And this is can we do a little educational segment?
Go ahead.
Educational segment here on Ed Madison Podcast Project in Durant, Iowa with Dan Bobek here. Bobobot. We've got Shure SM7Bs we're using for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
These are dynamic microphones.
Very
And-
popular for podcasts.
Yes, and actually, surprisingly, for a lot of different things. I guess music too. Not that everybody uses it, but I guess you can use it for like a guitar amp.
Yeah.
Because remember earlier he said just a SM or a 57. I think he made mention, but it's an SM57 by Shure. And these are Shure brand.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're leaving out a few details, but so that's also an SM57 is a dynamic microphone. Maybe I'll do a picture right here really quick, and the guts in this microphone, it's directional. So, right, is that the best? Is that the best way to say it?
So basically, it's just wherever you aim it, that's what it's going to pick up.
Yeah.
It's not going to pick up like my microphone aimed at me will not pick up you.
Right.
So-
Can you demonstrate that? Because we were talking about this earlier, just for the fun of it. Because if you're not on the mic in a certain way,
Oh yeah. So like if I'm over here, you can probably hear me, but it's really muffled.
just because the room's so small, it echoes a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you see he's back on it now, and we were joking. So usually there's copious amounts of scotch involved. So what happens, and you know who you are by say you, I'm talking about myself when I drink too much too. But you start to, you're doing one of these and you're talking and it's not really picking up, or you're fading back here a little bit. It's not catching it as much as when you're right up here.
Right.
So the dynamic microphone is going to capture, like Dan said, directionally what's in front of you, but does a really good job of it when it's right in front of it.
Right, because if you're right in front of this, it's going to pick up everything in your voice, the bass and the treble and all that. But with the proximity effect, you get away from it, and you lose bass. You lose, it gets muffled.
The problem with these microphones, which we talked about earlier too, was the first time he was on here, I told him that I had a problem. I was having problems with all the guests, all of them. I'm cranking up the gain all the way on my recorder. They were plugged directly in. I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I realized later on that needed a preamp to push these microphones. So the problem is with this SM7B is it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it requires the preamp, but
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. I can't think of it either.
it's a good mic, but it's not very powerful by itself.
Right.
Is that maybe the way to say it?
Sure. I mean, which is not a bad thing because it takes a lot to overdrive it. I mean, we did in the band Milk Duct Tape I was in. That was like a heavy rock band that was kind of Queens of the Stone Age influenced.
Yeah.
And we did all our vocals through one of these. With that, and we'd have screaming vocals where we're just yelling really loud, and never really clipped, and these are really, they handle things pretty well.
And I was going to say, in this situation, we need to bring it up with a preamp, but what if it's in front of, when I've done a guitar recording for YouTube, I think the last one I did, which I won't link that below. I'm not going to put you through that, guys. But anyway, I think I just put this directly up to the cab. Or I think I did two. I think I used my Sennheiser, which was an E. I can't remember the one that's got the adjuster switch on it, the 3-way adjuster switch on it. Anyway, I think I used both just to try them out. And I mean, it could handle this fine without a preamp on a guitar cab because it's loud, right?
Sure.
So I think I was getting pretty decent results. But for vocals like this, and this is just talking vocals. For the screaming vocals or for like singing vocals, I don't know. Do you still need a preamp on a dynamic like this?
We didn't use one.
Yeah, I don't think you need to because there's enough power and volume from your voice,
Yeah,
right? When you're
right.
singing, not when you're just mumbling like me here
Yeah.
on the podcast.
I mean, when I sing, I project pretty well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, and we didn't have him perform this time, but in the future, though, he's more than welcome to. This is me putting a little pressure on him. If he wants in the future, he can come back and he can perform a song too, which I think would be fun. You should do an acoustic like cover of one of your songs, or it wouldn't be a cover because it's your music, right?
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, do like the Nirvana Unplugged album, this is off my first album. Not a lot of people own it, and you can play something from your first album.
That's true. I almost did actually, because you mentioned something this morning. I said, "Hey, we're still on," or whatever, and you said, "Maybe bring your guitar." So I kind of messed around this morning, and I was like, "Well, this is an old one off an old album."
That'd be fun. Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah. Well, maybe next time.
Okay, no big deal. No big deal. I told him it's no pressure. I just had fun trying to remember how to set everything up earlier. So that was half the battle for me today. But yeah, you're always welcome to perform too. And
Cool.
yeah, why not? It's just, get it out there. And yeah, other than that, though, this podcast is really good for just learning things like dynamic microphones. So in that prolonged segment about dynamic microphones, now you know, and knowing's half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. That's right. So dynamic microphones. Did we already talk about this and I missed it or forgot? What you use for microphones on your latest album?
So for the latest album, my setup, so all my guitars are plugins.
All plugins
Yes.
from Reaper.
Yep.
So you use Reaper?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I buy my certain plugins.
Of course.
Yeah, the Reaper plugins are okay, the ones that come with it, but they don't have any like guitar amps or anything. You have to bring your own in. So yeah, it's just me going direct into something like your Focusrite there.
Yep.
And playing guitar and playing bass. And then for the vocals, I bought the cheapest microphone you can buy on Amazon.
Really?
It was like $9 or something. But it's a dynamic mic, and I thought I'll just try this, just to have here for ideas. And that's what I ended up using. So
And it sounds good.
yeah, well, I mean, because to me, most people would be like, "Oh no, that's awful." But I think that as long as you can get the sound in, I can mold it to anything I want it to
With the software.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like the vocals might sound raw and crappy, but once I throw the things on it that I like to make it sound like I like it to,
Sounded good.
it sounds good, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you use plugins for all this. Is there a particular plugin or generic named plugin used for the guitar? Because sometimes they just call it, diamond plate because it was like a Mesa dual rectifier, or what was the model for the guitar amp you used?
Well, I use a lot of different ones. I have Waves GTR, which
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, and
Yep.
they've got something like 30 different amps in there.
So you just
And I
pick
just
from that
I
pack.
just go through and like, well, this one sounds okay, and I haven't used
Yeah.
this one before, and
Sure.
that kind of thing. And I mean, I've had a couple others. Slate Software has their own one, and I like Slate, so I use theirs. And
Cool.
yeah, it's just a few different ones from here and there.
Gotcha. Nice. I'm so basic. I want to share this, and it's embarrassing, but I did it anyway. Excuse me. I bought the Waves plugin. That's the Archon amp. I literally, like a dork, thought, okay, which one do I buy? And I knew PRS had a amp pack that had the Archon. It had like their Dallas model, which is like I think his name's Doug Sewell, who does a lot of amp, building for them. It's like a little clean, one channel clean, amp, but I only use the Archon one because I'm a rock guy, metalhead, like a lot of people know. So, but yeah, so instead of doing something fun and different, I just like, all right, well, I'm going to get the same thing. So I got it on the computer. That way I was able to practice with headphones and not piss everybody off in the house.
Sure.
But lately I've been playing a few times too, which is why the pedal board's out over there and everything's lit up. And yeah, I've been practicing. It's always good to play loud, in my opinion, every now and then. If you're a musician, I think you know what I'm talking about, maybe.
Yes.
That, nice, raw, loud tone, feel it. That's why it's intoxicating to play live on stage too, with all the and your drummer's fucking loud, by the way.
Yeah, he
I do
is.
remember that
He
about
is.
him.
Yeah.
He hits hard, which is cool. I thought it was awesome. The times I've seen you guys play,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you can't play Nirvana without hitting hard.
Oh, you got to growl it up.
Yeah.
Is that a phrase you should use? Roll it up? Why not? Yeah.
I grow it up all the time.
Growl it up all the time. I'm going to have to start using that phrase and make people wonder what's wrong with me.
Yeah, he's loud. And, that's one thing I do miss about playing with a live band is, just even rehearsing. It's just like there's a feeling you get of those waves hitting your body. And
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So it is good to play loud.
It is. And unfortunately, in my later lazy years, instead of hauling an amp to practice, even though I have two 212s that I can easily separate, take just one instead of two in an amp, we actually, I bought just a cheap Line 6 multi-effects pedal, a newer one that came out I think a handful of years ago, and then we use a jam hub at practices. The last time I had full band practices with my guys and the guys in the band that I'm in, so you all plug in with headphones, you all plug your instruments in.
Yeah.
Drummer's got an electronic drum kit.
That'd
So
be nice.
the only thing you're really hearing in the area, and this is at the drummer's house, we would do this, but you just be the vocals is all you'd really hear, right? If you're in the other parts of the house.
Sure.
Which is kind of cool. I think that jam hub, have you ever seen those before?
Yeah, I have.
It's
Yeah.
like, I think marketed not just for quiet practice, but also for recording, like on stage too, we were talking about. Made me think of that earlier too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what the quality's like. It's just got a flash drive you plug in on the back side of it and it records it.
Right. Yeah, I've never tried one, but I have looked at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one that literally is gathering dust. Not, I guess, literally because it's in a drawer in my drum room out there. But if you ever need to use it or anything,
Right on.
I've got it. One of these days, I'll probably break it out if we have band practice again. But I don't know. I feel like, you ever feel like you're at the point, and I mean no disrespect to this, I don't even know if any of the guys will be watching this, but I feel like it's time to, I'm not saying it's time to move on. I'm saying still play with bands that I'm in or whatever when opportunities are there. But almost feel like it's time to try something different.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever get, I know with you've been with the same guys, with Milk Duct Tape, you've known them or the drummer, I'm guessing forever, you said?
Yeah, the drummer and the drummer's in the new project as well. So
Exactly. And that's cool when you have that. I almost feel like at some point though, it's fun to, try to get out there, maybe do something else you're more passionate about. Because for
Sure.
me, I find that I sell out a lot to play 90s and newer covers most of the time because
Right.
it's what people are going to know.
Right.
But I'd rather play other stuff that I just know won't go over well. So it almost turns out to be a situation. Not that it won't go over well, that people won't like it, but it won't be enough people and bar owners won't be like, I can sell this. Or
Right.
I can get enough people to show up kind of thing. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. I've been in original bands for years, and it's way harder to get people to come to an original show than a Vomit show.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep. I get it too. So for me, I feel like it's time to try something new. Whether that something new even hits a bar or maybe once a year, it'd be fun. I just would really like to do something that's a
Sure.
little bit harder rock, something that's newer rock music, because nobody does newer rock stuff. Everybody does.
Right.
Hell, there's probably still bands out there doing 80s hair metal, I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The Quad Cities is full of that
I
kind
know a
of shit.
few. Yeah.
No offense.
No.
But, I mean,
You're into what you're into. That's cool. You know?
yeah. I don't know. Yeah. And I don't know if I shared this with you or not before, but when I first got into playing in bands, I really wasn't, I was really a novice guitar player, but it was, because I started when I was like high school.
Yeah.
And then I turned 21, and now I'm all of a sudden hanging out at the bars, watching bands play. I'm like, this music's awful. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it really upset me to the point where I started sorting out bands. And then that's when I was in the first kind of groups with some friends that were musicians that I already knew. And it just kind of went from there. And so I don't know.
Have you done the original thing before?
I haven't. So another friend of mine has asked me, Michael Berensmeyer has been on the podcast a couple of times. I've jammed with him actually at his place. He's got an electronic drum kit, and I just picked up his guitar and I just started doing some basic rhythm kind of stuff. Not really anything too crazy, but and he's like, yeah, we should, I can't remember his words, but he's like, yeah, this is good. And it didn't sound bad, but at the same time, I don't feel like I have enough time in my life. I feel like I would beat my head against the wall trying to make it as perfect in my mind as possible, and I don't think I'd ever be happy enough. I think that's the problem, because that's just kind of the person I am,
Yeah.
which is good or bad. That's what it would be, right? And kids are still at home, like baseball scrimmages I got to be at tomorrow for my oldest. Now that COVID's done, that at least one of the kids is going to be able to play baseball again, so that takes up a lot of time. And but I guess I respect original music artists like you to be able to put together something, especially as well as you did on this recent solo stuff, but anything though, right? How do you sit down and just, unless it just naturally flows, like you said, you had all these riffs and music anyway.
Yeah, and I just got inspired. I mean, that's a big part of it, is just inspiration. Like if you get inspired and you have a goal, it goes quick.
Yeah, and I guess that makes sense too, right?
Yeah.
What's the longest music writing session you've ever sat down and done?
Oh man, I know I've woke up at like 6 a.m. and just got on the computer and forgot to eat, and next thing I know, it's 11 p.m.
Nice.
You know,
You've been writing all day. That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I would, And there's mornings where I get up here because I'm old, so I get up super early in the morning. Because for my job, I'm used to getting up, at like 5 in the morning, 5 to 5:15 or whatever, and getting ready to be to work at 7. So I find myself when I do have time on the weekends, getting up early. Like this morning, I was up fairly early, but I didn't play guitar. I should have. That's why I said though earlier I bought the PRS Waves plugin because I wanted something that I could sit down in the morning, just play in here. Maybe my oldest son in the next room over here can hear a little bit of strings, but he sleeps through most of that anyway.
Sure.
That's why I did that. But yeah, though, I guess I'm really getting sidetracked here. But the original music thing, I really respect that because I don't think I could find the time and the patience to grind it out. And maybe grind it out isn't it? Because like if you're passionate about it and it's just flowing, you're not grinding it, right?
Yeah.
You're basically just...
it's not really a grind, I don't think. There is some grinding, I think, though. But like, you don't even remember the grind once you get the final product.
Yeah.
So, and once it really gets going, there's no grind. It's just, but the way I do it is like I map it out. So I kind of know what I have to do. Like, okay, this track still needs a guitar. This needs a vocal. I want to put a backing vocal here. And then I'll listen to it and be like, okay, now I want to do this and this and this with it. So it does take some time to do, but I wouldn't say it's a grind.
You're right. And that's probably because of my mindset. That's what's holding me back, I'm sure. Thinking that it is.
Yeah.
And not giving it that chance that it deserves.
Sure. Yeah. Your mind is the only thing holding you back from anything, really.
True. True, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I haven't done original music. I've just jammed around here on the acoustic before, or at my friend's house on the electric guitar while he was playing some drums, and just kind of, trying something out as he just kept playing over and over again.
Yeah.
Which I guess I can do here with honestly, I could just probably set up a drum track on this, right?
Sure.
And then just start jamming behind it.
Yeah.
But
why not?
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And I know this is on the podcast. Maybe I should have waited till afterwards, but maybe we'll share it with everybody that needs to know this.
Might as well.
I'm using the Focusrite here. I'm on playing guitar, electric guitar, of course. I got a lead tone distortion. I don't have a pedal on the ground to switch from clean to distortion. Do you have to just completely have a separate track for clean then, no matter what, in that situation?
No. Most plugins work after the fact. So like when I record, I'm recording a guitar and then I'll hear the plugin, but if I play it back with the plugin off, it's totally just the raw input. So you can actually set up, like what I'll do is I'll set up an automation and be like, okay, this is where the pedal turns on, this is where it turns off.
Oh, so it automatically does it for you then?
Yeah, if you set up an automation.
For a timestamp maybe?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep, you timestamp it or however your DAW works.
But if you're just basically practicing though, you're not necessarily going from point A to point B. You're taking side roads, returning back around,
Right.
I was curious, is there, so like a recent guitar cover video I did, it wasn't even recent now because that's how infrequently I do those, but it has clean and electric or clean and distortion parts in it. Oh, there's one I want to do. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here. It's a song I want to do next, but it's holding me back. My mind's holding me back because I think, how am I going to switch from clean to electric while playing? But then again, if it's being recorded through there, I can just, like you said.
Yeah, you can automate it, or you can do a second track, or however you want to do it.
But for video's sake, though, I don't want to stop the video.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Does that make sense? Right? So I'm doing the guitar cover, and I just want to keep playing, even though I'm not clicking or I'm not stepping or stomping. I want that transition, which can be done then afterwards, I'm guessing, by using the DAW.
Right.
And this portion is going to be clean.
I'm pretty sure they make a pedal that you can plug in that will, you can set up to trigger.
Well, that's what I tried to, I thought I did feel like I tried to look that up, but maybe I'm not looking in the right place. So I think afterwards, probably what I'll do with him, after we're done with the podcast portion here, I'll probably check it out with you if you don't mind.
Sure.
Do a little internet search.
There is one more way that I'll let you know about.
Okay.
If they're curious.
Yes, tell them.
So if you're using an amp sim, and you want to plug in a regular pedal, you just do it.
Oh, you can.
And the amp sim will react to the pedal like an amp.
Oh,
So
it's like an old distortion pedal I got up in the closet or something.
yeah, you just put that in the chain, and then it should act just like an amp with,
Oh.
with the pedal.
I guess I've never tried that because I think I was almost curious as like, would that actually work?
Yeah, it works.
I don't know why I didn't even think about that. So I've got a shelf in there with a few random pedals that I just haven't used in a while, including one that I deeply regret that I bought into the nostalgia of the radio. There was a Radiohead pedal I bought. I don't know if you like Radiohead.
I do, yeah.
It was from, don't tell me, because it's not the one with Creep on it. It's not the Benz. It's not OK Computer. It's the one where they changed their sound dramatically.
Amnesia?
Nope, that would have been the one after this one.
Kid A.
Kid A, thank you.
Okay.
So I've got a Kid A pedal up there, and it actually is supposed to be like a combination fuzz something else, and it's awful. It looks cool because they painted it to look like the Kid A album,
Yeah.
but it's awful.
Well, yeah.
If I can remember the name of that brand, or I will maybe put a link if I can remember down in the description of never to buy from that brand ever, because it looks like all their pedals are gimmicky nostalgia grabs for people, right? So anyway, Kid A though, Radiohead, that was, oh my God, now I'm getting sidetracked because I think you finished that off with, you can use a regular guitar pedal, it sounds like, which I may end up doing now. But Kid A, I think Kid A, that album, if you had to have like a top 5 albums, right, that really changed you musically at one point in your life, can you think of any of those 5 off the top of your head?
Sure. I mean, you want me to say or
I'm going to say Kid A is actually one of mine because that came into a point. This is funny because like a lot of bands for me, because of the age maybe or something like that, or when I ran into the artists, you know, you don't necessarily always start on the first album, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I think Kid A was the first Radiohead album I had ever actually owned,
Oh, wow.
which seems completely crazy, right? And now that I think back to hearing that and burning that, or not burning, but running that CD so many times back in the day and just being blown away by the music that came from it. And then finding out that, of course, they had The Benz is like one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, me too. I love that album.
I love OK Computer, too.
They lost me on that one, to be honest.
They did lose you?
But I mean, I came back later. But like when it came
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
I was not into it.
But you're like me, though. Benz, if you've never heard the Benz album by Radiohead, such a fantastic example of, oh, man, Mr. Greenwood fucking all over that album, right? And even what's the bass player's name?
I'm not sure. I know a couple of their names, but Radiohead's one of those bands. It's like on my fringes. Like I really like them.
Yeah.
And the Benz was a huge influence on me, but I don't really know all the. Like I know Greenwood and I know.
Yeah, Johnny Greenwood.
And I know Tom and you know.
Of course, yeah. But the bass player though is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously like, you know, everybody knows like the OK Computer or like, sorry, now I'm getting all lost, and this is making it probably difficult for you guys to watch this and listen to it. But the Paranoid Android, right?
Yeah.
Huge bass line, or a lot of fun. I'm sure crazy hard stuff in some parts.
Sure.
But even the Benz, though, I mean, the bass work on that, a lot of stuff was really good, I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know, wasn't it?
I thought so. I mean, that album is like the production for the time it came out is just top notch.
Huge, good,
Yeah.
awesome. Like holds up so well. I feel like I listen to it now. I'm just like, this album's rock still. It's awesome. It sounds great, and yeah, mixed really well. I feel like.
Yeah. That song "Just" is just like that blew me away when it came out. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It still does. I still love that song.
I can still hear like the melody or Tom's vocals, and I feel like it's the one where can't get the stink out.
Yeah.
It's been hanging around for.
Yep, that's it.
Is that just right?
Yep.
Yeah. So sorry, we're geeking out a little bit over Radiohead, but yeah. So Kid A for me was one of them though, because I feel like it had to have been the first one. I feel like it had to have been the first one. It was a weird time, but when I heard that Idiot Tech. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but that's like kind of a.
Okay, yeah.
It was not even really a guitar. So for me as a guitar player, and I'm just being completely drawn into something that blows my mind away for some reason. Anyway, so I rambled a lot. What is one of your top 5s?
Man, I mean, obviously Nirvana is going to be in there.
Which one though?
Probably Nevermind. I mean, that really changed my whole thinking about music. So before Nevermind came out, I was totally into like Yo MTV Raps. I was like,
Really?
yeah, I was totally into hip hop and rap and stuff.
Nice.
And then Nirvana hit, and it added a new flavor to my palate. So
We're gonna try something fun here. So Nevermind would be one of his top 5, and we don't have to go through all those now. But I'm gonna play a fun game I just thought of right now.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna name a band. You tell me the first album you think you listened to by them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna keep it in the same '90s genre, just because I feel like we do pretty well together. I mean, for knowing probably a lot of the same stuff,
Probably.
or maybe even the 2000s, early 2000s stuff
Yeah.
too. But let's go Pearl Jam.
Okay, 10.
10. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, that was my first Pearl Jam album too.
That was my first CD.
Was it your first CD?
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm trying to think of the first handful of CDs I had, because growing up, my parents were starting to collect CDs because it was that kind of transition. Because I remember. You ready for this? Billy Joel,
Oh, yeah.
River of Dreams.
Oh, yeah.
My parents had all kinds of, dad and stepmom had all kinds of random tapes, cassettes, and CDs. And man, did they have the Billy Joel CDs. Like, they must have came out with the old albums, so they bought them on CD.
Yeah.
So
I grew up with a lot of Billy Joel. So
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
So, I mean, now we're really getting out there. This is amazing where this trip's taking us. So, Billy Joel, besides River of Dreams, which a lot, I don't know, some people may want to forget, but, it was well, it's not weird. It was just a little different, right?
Yeah, that was the one in the middle of the night. I go walking in sleep. Yeah.
Through through the river so deep.
It's a catchy melody.
It is. It's a catchy melody. It had the extra, it sounds like orchestra singers or something. Anyway, so other albums, Billy Joel albums. Stranger, was that one of them? The Stranger?
Maybe. I'm not too familiar with the names of them. Like,
Songs then. Give me a top 5 Billy Joel songs. Go.
Uptown Girl.
Yep.
And
I like how he says, like, how could you not? What is wrong with you if you don't know Uptown Girl?
I mean, when I was in high school, We Didn't Start the Fire was everywhere. Like, everybody was singing it, and it was just like, there was parodies of it and stuff. You couldn't get away from it.
Okay. All right.
I don't know, Piano Man.
Yep. Keep going, yeah.
All right, I'm starting to lose my...
Can I add a couple?
Yeah, go for it, please.
For the Longest Time.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing, Garth Brooks covered this, but Shameless later on, right? Shameless was a Billy Joel song first, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Shameless.
I don't know if I know that one, but...
It's Shameless. It's not loving you. I do anything you want me to. I do anything at all. And then the Garth Brooks song is all I can hear. Anyways, Shameless, you know what I'm talking about. That's Billy Joel's song.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Billy Joel, yeah.
They're probably at home, like, yelling out ones that they...
Yeah, exactly. How could you forget? Like, you're like Uptown. Well, Uptown Girl. Like, well, there's another one out there that probably somebody's yelling.
Yeah.
So Billy Joel, thinking back though, cassette CDs, that changeover. I totally forgot which direction we were going. Oh, you said that was your first CD. 10. Right?
Yeah.
So I think my first CD is not my parents' ones that they had, but I think like one of the first ones I had, I can think to at least a few of them. One of them had to be Jock Jam something.
Oh, nice.
When they, the Jock Jams.
Yes.
So had all the sports themed
hits
that were always played. Everything from old school to the old school songs. I'm trying to remember what they were.
Like We Will Rock You and stuff
or
like that.
What I Like About You.
Oh, yeah.
And then all the way to newer ones like We Will Rock You, which was 70s probably, right? Or 80s?
Yeah, I think it's 70s.
Because Queen was 70s, 80s,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then, like the one song for the Chicago Bulls that played, and it was by a dude from the Alan Parsons Project. That's what it was. It was an Alan Parsons Project song. And For the Chicago Bulls whenever they, entered the
Yeah,
court.
I remember it. I don't know if I ever knew the name of it.
It's an Alan Parsons Project song.
Okay.
Yeah. Today you learned, kids.
See what you get by checking out a podcast.
Right. And this is all the random bullshit that's later on that I don't know. Hopefully at least a couple of you are watching. I know my kids will for sure. That's why I probably keep saying kids, because my, kids been like, oh, you're going to have your podcast first one in a while. They like making fun of my exploits on previous episodes where drinking's involved or anything else. So,
I don't want to end this before we have a chance to talk about video games too.
oh my God, yes, video games. There's so much we can talk about. All right, so if I could just recap, we kind of got to play that game a little bit. I want to play it just one more time.
Yes.
Let me throw 2 more bands out. So we'll do 3. First CD you heard.
Okay.
Pearl Jam was 10.
Was yours 10 as well?
It was not. That's what I'm trying to think back. It was either Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt, Fastball, The Way, or there was another CD that I had too. The funny thing was, I don't know if I picked these out if they were just gifts to me or something, because some grandma or something thought it'd be a good idea, that I would like that CD.
Oh.
Because it seemed hip or cooler,
Yeah.
But
Well, what was your first Pearl Jam CD?
Oh, my first Pearl Jam. It was 10. It had to have been 10.
Okay. Okay.
Honestly, I remember where I bought it. It was at a Best Buy in Naperville, Illinois, because my mom when she lived in Warrenville at the time, and is when I had a driver's license, I would drive up to see her. I remember I went down towards Fox Valley Mall in Naperville, if anybody knows what that is.
I do.
Yep. So if there's that Best Buy that's over in that area. I don't even know if it's still there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's there either. I haven't been through Naperville in years.
Bought the 10 album there because I walked through just looking for a couple of new CDs, got to throw some fresh music in. And I remember 10, and I think the reason I bought it was because of Black. And I can't remember where I heard Black for the first time. And now I play it on acoustic, and it's I remember crying in the car listening to that song because it was the first.
Good.
I went straight to that song.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, now that I'm in my vehicle and I can pick that song, crank it up, and getting real emotional about it. But I don't remember when I first heard it though. But I knew that song, and I knew when I saw that album. Didn't know what the hell I was looking for, but kept reading, flip around, see the tracks, right?
Right.
Black. I'm like, I think that's the song, right?
Uh-huh.
And of course, then it had like Even Flow and all these other classic ones on there too, right?
Sure.
But it was definitely 10. It was definitely for Black. I was in Chicago, at the Best Buy across from the Fox Valley Mall, or in that area. I never forget that moment.
Wow. Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's funny you got yours at Best Buy. Mine. So I used to live in a town, Macomb, Illinois.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And we didn't really have much for CDs stores yet or whatever when I decided to go to Best Buy here in Iowa City.
Yeah.
I decided to go to Best Buy and drove up to Iowa City and bought a CD player because I didn't even have a CD player at the time. And they said, we're doing this deal. You get 5 free CDs with this CD player. So
Nice,
Pearl Jam
nice.
10 was one of the first ones I picked out.
Nice. You knew, I know I'm getting this out of the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it. I like it. Yeah. It was, Alive was on the radio at the time. And I was like, well, that's a good song. I'm going to check out this band.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And Black, I think, was that for me. But I wish I remembered why or how, or maybe I just heard it on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. It wasn't a single, but they played it on the radio all the time.
Yeah. Interesting. It wasn't a single. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
Yeah. I know, Vetter said that he didn't ever want it to be a single because he didn't want to spoil it with being commercial.
Right.
But the radio stations were begging for it anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Classic song, classic artist and album. So Pearl Jam, and then we're going to move on to games because I don't want to leave you, because we've got to talk about that too. So I'm going to keep it 90s. Why am I hanging now? We already talked about Nirvana. You said it was Nevermind.
Mm-hmm.
But let's do Soundgarden.
Okay. Bad Motorfinger.
Bad Motorfinger.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That's a good one. And of course, we could spend an extra 20 minutes on each of these bands probably and just work our way around their discography and the songs.
What was your first Soundgarden?
I feel like it was not Bad Motorfinger. I feel like it was the one that had, Black Hole Sun wasn't on Bad Motorfinger, was it?
No, that was on Super Unknown.
That's the one I had. Super Unknown. That had Spoon Man and all that stuff on it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I had first.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're throwing it back. All right, good deal. And then next one for you, let's go ahead and go Alice in Chains.
Probably See, I had their first album, but
Dirt?
no, before Dirt.
Oh, there was one before Dirt. Okay.
Yeah, what was that called? Was it just self-titled? No, it wasn't self-titled. But you see, I didn't really get into it. So I like Dirt. I really got into.
Yeah. Did they make and help me remember, was there a change in song style or something that may have happened?
I mean, the first album had like Man in the Box on it. Whatever that. So it was still kind of the same style, but it was a little more glam back then.
On the Edge. It was on the Edge, wasn't it?
Yeah, because that came out in like 89, 90.
Well, Man in the Box, it is 89.
Yeah.
Because the joke was when I played that in bands before, because I was very adamant about no 80s, all 90s and newer, and my singer, Mike Oshner, who I don't know if you met him before or not, he said, we all like to get on the mic, and we do 90s and newer, except this song is 89, so here we go.
Nice.
But yeah, so, okay. So the first album you had that.
Yeah, the first album was the one with Man in the Box, whatever that was called.
I think I had the Unplugged album first. Alice in Chains was one of those bands for me. Of course, I love them now, but it was like, I don't know why I didn't listen to them as much back then.
Yeah.
Or maybe just it didn't fall in that path, right? Of whichever way I was going. Like my parents had the Unplugged Nirvana album. So I knew that as my first Nirvana album, but it wasn't mine.
Sure.
But I listened to the shit out of it, obviously, right? And not knowing who even David Bowie was at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because he makes reference, this is a David Bowie song. Of course, everybody, if you know, you'll know, right?
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, that was how I first heard Nirvana. It was actually through that.
Yeah.
Let's do one more band, and then
Okay.
we'll move on. You ask one.
One from the 90s?
Yeah, sure.
Let me think. Gosh. Screaming Trees.
Screaming Trees. I actually never had one of their albums, believe it or not. Yep, good band. Know them. Know some, the music and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't expect. They're kind of like a fringe 90s band, they had like one hit,
Nearly Lost You.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the song?
Yeah, that's the name of the song.
Yeah, which is a great song.
Sure.
Fantastic. I know they had other good songs too.
Yeah,
I just never owned an album though.
Right on. Yeah.
So
So
I won't lie to you, that's for sure.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking of like, what other grunge bands do I like? Okay. Well,
And I guess it doesn't have to be grunge, but we were talking like Radiohead.
oh, how about Tool? Let's go with Tool.
Okay, there we go. Good one. So that was Lateralis for me.
Lateralis, huh?
It was because it was like, one, it's, you just start in the middle because you heard it was probably Schism. It was probably Schism.
Wow.
Right. And then pulls me into the album. And then I finally give the rest of the album a chance after, playing nonstop Schism all the time, being young and not really open-minded about other music. And then just like the rest of the album just drew you in after you listen to it. I think even on the first try, some songs you got to really listen to a couple of times.
Right.
Love the whole thing. And then, like a lot of other bands, like Radiohead, then you start to backtrack. So, okay, what else they got going on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about for you? What was your first one?
I mean, I was into Opiate when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But really, I only liked the song Opiate.
I agree. I think I think a lot of people feel that way. They're redoing Opiate to make it like a new modern remastered with like a new midsection where Danny does or they all do an instrumental bit too.
Okay.
The only reason I know this because when I went to Tool one or two times ago with my buddy, we did a VIP backstage thing with Adam where he, explained his history, kind of like doing a podcast, but instead he's just talking to a big crowd, right?
Cool.
I guess that wouldn't be a podcast. It'd just be kind of like a speech to people. But anyway, so he showed halfway through. He's like, we're just going to show you what we've kind of been working on. And everybody expected new music, right? This is before the latest album came out. So we're all expecting, music from the new album.
Right.
It took years and years and years and years to get to. Mm-hmm. But it was actually their remastered or redone Opiate.
Okay.
And there's going to be what do you call it? A video, companion video.
Oh, cool.
That they're going to release too, like a music video. Not with them, of course, but artistic art. None of their music videos really have them in it, of course.
Right.
It's always
usually
claymation
animated
or things like that. So, spoiler alert.
That's cool though. That's cool.
But yeah, I love that song. I love Opiate. Yes.
Yeah, me too. It's just that was the only song that grabbed me back then. So
yeah. So what'd you go to later on then? So it's like down the line at some point you had to have been, right? You had to listen to something else or give it another try.
With Tool, you mean?
Yeah,
I mean, like, then Sober came out, and I was like, I was sold on him. So
right.
You
That
know.
kind of grungy. That's just, and the funny thing was, I think I got spoiled because when you start with Lateralis and you're like, your mind's trying to comprehend it when I'm young at playing guitar, I'm like, how the hell do you play this shit?
Yeah, no kidding, no
And
kidding.
I'm like, I can't. I mean, I know the song, and like Schism was the easiest to learn just because I'd listened to it a gajillion times.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the time changes so many times, it didn't matter because I just knew the song, right?
Yeah.
So I knew how to make that work. But trying to learn some of the other songs, right?
Yeah,
Just crazy.
yeah, for sure. I used to run sound for a Tool tribute band that was from around here.
Which one? The Burlington one or another one?
They were from Burlington.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I saw them play before at Ripco once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if I was running sound at the time.
I don't know.
But yeah, I ran sound for them for. I wasn't their main sound guy, but like when they needed a backup guy.
Or in this area, maybe more in the area.
Yeah, I mean, I would travel for them.
Would you?
I used to be in a band with their bass player for a long time. We were really good friends. So,
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I just ran sound for them. But like, just seeing them like cover the songs, I'm like, gosh, you guys are. Is it really worth putting this much work into, doing this? But they did it great. So
A few people know this about me, but I actually was in a aspiring tribute cover band for Tool
oh,
with a drummer and bass player in Muscatine back when I lived there.
mm-hmm.
And the bass player I played in bands with, and the drummer one short-lived band as well, where we did like newer covers that I talk about wanting to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so hard to find people for it.
Yeah.
But we did, and I've got videos on my YouTube page that are private, so only I can see them. But maybe I'll share them with you. How embarrassing they are.
That's all
So
right.
we were, I was much younger, but we had three pieces, the instruments. We didn't have a Maynard, and we auditioned like 5-6 people.
Oh yeah.
And we just ended up giving up and making that metal cover band or the newer hard rock cover band instead
Okay.
because we knew we couldn't find a singer.
Yeah.
So we just settled on, we knew a singer that liked newer music but just couldn't do Tool all the time.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. So I'll show that to you later. All right.
Cool.
So let's move on to gaming.
All right.
So where we've been, this is really going to take up all night, which is fine. I enjoy talking about it, but so I just realized there's fire out the door here. Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So gaming, when the first time we were supposed to get together this year, it was supposed to be, if I remember correctly, or was it last year at some point, we were going to get together and do Resident Evil 2
Mm-hmm.
when they released it,
Yeah.
which obviously long gone. We've played it both, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
which is fine because of, however that worked out. And then what have you been playing lately? What have you been doing? What are you anticipating? What is your what is your YouTube channel gonna be doing next for music, or not music but games?
Oh
for
yeah, the game.
So that's the area let's cover next. then.
Okay. I mean the YouTube channel Game Beaters. We've been doing
Link below.
we've been doing we've been trying to live stream, but it's been hard with COVID and stuff because it's three of us and we were all trying to do social distancing.
Sure.
And yeah, it's been a rough ride there. But on the side, since we haven't been doing that, I've been doing like reviewing Nintendo games that are new, that are just coming out for the original Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
The newest one I got is called Project Blue, and it's a brand new Nintendo game. Like there's a huge blossoming homebrew scene. And
Is it because it's so easy to work on now or create because they're 8-bit?
I don't think it's that easy. I mean, you have to learn a certain code to, like, it's got its own code for Nintendo. And, some people, there's a person who made a thing called NES Maker, which makes it easier, where it's kind of a plug and play kind of thing. I haven't tried it yet, but you basically have, like, tiles you can do, and you can put in, do you want this to be like an RPG? Do you want it to be a platformer? And it has tools within those parameters.
That's pretty cool. Is it a
Yeah.
computer program then, right?
Yeah, it's a computer program. And there's probably 200 games online that are made with that. But I'm talking about these people are really passionate about NES and start from scratch and, trying to make the best game they can in the modern age that would hold up next to the games that came out back in the day. So, And yeah, the latest one I'm working on is Project Blue, and it's kind of like Mega Man if Mega Man was really hard.
And sometimes Mega Man is really hard.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I'm I've played them so many times I can no
Yeah.
death run them all. But like
Right. Didn't you play against somebody before on YouTube? Like, did you race somebody?
I
or-
raced somebody
Yeah.
with Mega Man, and they won. I didn't die, and they died, but somehow they beat me because I got caught up in this place and I was stuck, and they beat me by like 8 seconds, I think.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching it a long time ago, but I just didn't remember what the difference was.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly watching you, thinking maybe you had it wrapped up too at the end.
It was close. It was close. It was down to like the last level, and I just got stuck in a certain area, and I had to farm, which is when you have to like keep shooting enemies to build up your.
To get your stats back up and
Get your
everything.
stats back
and
up.
that's what was holding you up basically
Yeah.
to regain life for power-ups or whatever.
Well,
it
there's
was.
like a thing where you have to shoot out. You have to shoot out this like ladder that takes you up, and I didn't have enough power for it, so I had to like farm for it. And, yeah. So.
Cool. So you've been reviewing then new NES games.
Yeah, which is weird to say, but
But it's cool though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've not seen any of that. You haven't done anything yet online with it?
I've done a few. I haven't done anything for the past month or so, but now that this came out, I've been working on trying to beat it. It's really a difficult game.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't do save states or anything like that. I want to beat
Okay.
it as intended.
Like back in the day.
Yeah, like back in the day. So,
Back in the day replay. Hardest NES game ever to play through
oh man,
without dying.
probably some shooter that I suck at.
Like Contra or something like that.
I mean,
Contra 2.
Contra's doable. I haven't done it, but I know I've seen people do it. Maybe Ghosts and Goblins is one of the hardest ones to do.
The hardest one for me was the first Ninja Turtles game.
Oh yeah, that's
was-
a tough one.
Incredibly difficult. I remember, you know that noise when you twist a Nintendo controller when you get mad?
Yeah.
That plastic on plastic?
Mm-hmm.
I have early memories of that noise.
Yeah. I threw a controller or two back in the day.
Especially when you had to, strategically, and if you haven't seen the game, just YouTube videos of this, and I'm glad you appreciate and understand, but trying to plan out who you're going to sacrifice, like Raphael.
Yeah.
Fuck him, let him go,
Right.
If you're going to sacrifice somebody, it's going to be him because those the size really don't do much.
His range is like this. It's just like a hand.
Where Leonardo, on the other hand, I feel like the best all-rounder because he had so decent length on the blade, right? But Donatello was like heavy hitting. You needed him
Yeah.
to take out the big guys.
Yep.
That was a balancing act, man. Mm-hmm. How are you going to... The water levels in those were fucking brutal.
Yeah, everybody hates those.
Fucking brutal. Anyway.
I don't know why they did that to kids, man. That was awful.
It's very traumatic. What'd you go to therapy for? Ninja Turtles 1.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, it's difficult even now. Like I've tried playing it. It's like
You have? Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I beat it recently, and it was like, oh man, it just was painful to get through. So
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
no, that's okay.
That's what it reminds me of, though.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
So we were talking about you're doing new stuff you're doing with the YouTube channel
Yeah.
is new NES games that people are making.
Yep.
The other question would have been then, so we were going to get together on Resident Evil 2
Oh yeah, yeah.
initially for the second podcast. And then what's a newer game that you might be interested? I know you do a lot of older retro games,
Yeah.
but is there a newer game that you find yourself kind of interested in at all?
I really enjoyed the new Star Wars. What was that called? Jedi Fallen Order or something like that.
Okay.
That was fun. And then recently, I know it's not like super new, but I bought Red Dead Redemption 2 when it came out,
Oh, yeah.
and I just shelved it. I never.
You did?
Yeah. So I just broke it out recently, like a couple days ago, and I've been playing through that.
Awesome. I actually was just playing it the other day again, just to see what, do a little exploring. Because some of these little random subplots, you follow the path and all of a sudden somebody needs help and then it turns into something, a whole
Right.
nother little bit. So I actually was just playing it the other day again because I'm like, it's been a while. I beat it, the core game, if you will.
Yeah.
Didn't really buy. I tried online for a little bit. I'm like, I really don't like this. So I just kind of like the main story. But yeah, so Red Dead Redemption 2, awesome. And I know
Yeah.
they're kind of teasing the next logo for Grand Theft Auto. It looks like.
Oh, right.
Did
Yeah.
you see that the other day?
Yeah, I saw it. I never know because there's been so many fakes out there.
Or
and
not the
stuff.
logo. It's the Rockstar logo, the new Rockstar logo that they. I think was that what it was, right?
Okay. I don't know if I saw that.
Yeah,
But that's cool.
Like they teased, and everybody knows. Oh, that means they're gearing up for something to release, right?
Yeah.
Or show. Which, fun fact, we probably talked about this last time when not Resident Evil, when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. I took a week off from work. I literally took a week off from work just to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-ordered it, got the poster from GameStop when I pre-ordered it, hung it up in my garage and everything.
Yeah.
Different house, but yeah. Anyway, so okay. Red Dead Redemption 2 you've been playing. Old NES games, new NES games that are old. What else did I ask you earlier? I'm trying to just talk through it so I can remember now.
I don't know. I told you about Star Wars.
Yep.
And let's see. I don't know.
There's so much with gaming to talk about. I mean, we
Did
really
you-
could.
Did
but
you play the Resident Evil 3 remake?
I did not. So I recently had a conversation with another friend of mine who will be on. Bob Steinbeck will be on. He talked about wanting to do because I just recently got. I think I told you, it's behind the computer. I bought a screen recorder. What the fuck? Is it called?
Capture card?
Yeah, I bought the
Elgato?
El Gato, Mr. Roboto. Yeah, HD 60S.
Yeah, the HD60.
Thank you for saying that since I was over there and the dynamic microphones tieback didn't catch for that very well. So yeah, I bought one thinking because I got all these old systems here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it'd be fun to play through something with my friend Bob. He's like, you got to get it. I haven't got it yet because I found out it's not the same company that made the redo on the second one.
Oh, really? I didn't know
It's
that.
a different team.
Huh.
So when I found out it was a different team and I saw the previews and I kind of got a little butthurt about it, thinking that, well, this is going to be a letdown. And the reviews weren't as good as Resident Evil 2. So I'm thinking my gut was right. This is not going to be something I'm going to like. I recently talked to my friend Bob, who I will have on sometime soon. And we should have done a game thing too.
Mm.
I'll have you back again. I promise.
Okay.
If you will let me have you back again, please.
For sure.
All
Anytime.
right, I'll drag him over. So he said it's worth it though. He said it's good. Have you played it?
The third one?
The
release. They had a free demo of it, and I played through that.
And
It was enjoyable.
it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Was it as polished or as good as you feel Resident Evil 2 felt?
I think it was very similar.
It was similar.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
similar. I've heard it's short. I've heard they
The
cut.
game is short.
Yeah, they cut a bunch of stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Now I'm really not happy.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. It's like 6 hours or something. It's like short, from what I understand.
All right. Well, now I didn't know about that, but like I said, I kind of gave up after my gut told me this is not going to be as good as 2. It's the different team I read, the same
Yeah.
company, different team or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. They drastically changed character appearances on a couple of these characters, so they don't even look the same anymore.
Right.
Right. So it was just like kind of, I don't know. I felt like I was going to, when you don't want to be hurt, you don't want to be hurt.
Yes.
So you try to avoid it at all costs. I think that's kind of what I did with that.
Right. I get that.
Yeah. So, but here's the real question. Obviously, Nemesis. Is that the next order, right?
Yeah, that's Resident Evil 3.
No, okay, I'm sorry. Then it's 4. No, Code Veronica.
Code Veronica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to remember. So, Code Veronica, should they remake it? And if they remake it, we need to have Resident Evil Team 2 make it, or whatever, combine them, do something.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can't alter something if you're gonna do a remake. If you're gonna do a remake and alter a lot, make it be like when they redid the first Resident Evil game, which is completely. I mean, it's the same thing, but it's just so much like the difference, right?
Yeah.
Remember that when they redid the first one? I still have it on like the PS3 probably, or even the regular PS4, but
Yeah.
they did a great job.
The
Do
game-
something like that.
The GameCube had it too, which I
Yes, then the GameCube. And then speaking of GameCube, Resident Evil 4, in my opinion, probably the best one. In my opinion, I don't know why, but I felt like that one was so solid.
Yeah, I think that you're in the majority there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, is that a little too mainstream probably to think 4 is the best one?
I don't think so. I mean, people, in the gaming community that I've seen, most people are like, please don't touch 4. Don't, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and that would be the next question. So Code Veronica, should you remake it? And then that begs the question, what's next? But 4 is still so good.
Yeah.
It's holding up so well still.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it seems like they based the second and third remake on kind of 4 mechanics.
The engine, you mean? Or
Well,
not
just
the engine?
just the mechanics of.
Or the mechanics, yeah.
Just the way it's more action oriented than.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Completely understand now.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Okay.
do you touch 4? I would say if you're going to touch 4, you do not mess with that one at all. Like that's got to be
Yeah. Maybe put additional content if you want and up the graphics, but.
right. Upgrade the ballistics, as was said about the president's daughter.
Oh gosh.
I can't remember who the character was. He goes, "I see he's equipped her with ballistics," and she's like, "You creep!" As she's like crossing her arms.
Right.
I can't remember. It was something like that in that game. You remember that?
I think so.
Who was the Hispanic guy that you would constantly run into in the game? Who wore the nice like button-up shirt and
Was that Resident Evil?
that was 4, yeah.
Oh wow. It's been a while since I played it.
Oh man, gonna bust it out. Here we go.
I haven't played it since the GameCube. Since it was on there.
I had it on GameCube. I've got it down in that cabinet for
Oh,
GameCube.
Nice.
Resident Evil 4. I almost said Mexican. Spanish guy. There we go. He's not Mexican. Hey. There he is.
Oh, Dr. Lewis.
I think that's the guy. Yeah, that's him. I feel like that's him. Luis. And I know I'm really dragging this out.
Oh, Luis, yeah.
But it's Luis. Yes,
Yeah.
that's him. Button up shirt.
Huh.
Yes. And then of course that iconic picture there with the chainsaw dude. I remember being so scared of him too. The chainsaw guy, because when you heard it,
Oh, I know.
and then it's like, fuck, I'm gonna waste a lot of ammo on this thing.
I mean, that was kind of. Did you ever play Nemesis? Because that's what Nemesis is. I mean, it's like every time he's there, you're like, oh god, I hate this, and you're.
Well, even like, there's always a good character in those games.
Mm-hmm.
That's whether it's the chainsaw guy. If it's the chainsaw guy, or if it's Hunk, or if it's the Nemesis,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's, all of them have to some degree, right?
Right.
I mean, you can go back to Resident Evil 0, which I don't know if anybody knows about that game, but I thought that was awesome. That was Nintendo 64 or GameCube.
They tried to make it for 64, but it didn't come out till GameCube.
Thank you. I knew it. Got an expert here. He's helping me out. So, but that was a good game. Who was the main? Was it Wesker? Not Wesker. Was he in 0?
I don't remember if Wesker was in it. It's funny because I just beat it last year.
Oh, you did?
For Halloween, I streamed it and beat it.
Oh, nice.
And it was the first time because I've had it on GameCube for years. And when it first came out, I was playing it. I'm like, I don't know about this. You're switching characters in the middle, and you have
it was different.
Yeah, it was different. But yeah, it turned out to be pretty good. But yeah, I don't remember if the characters. I don't think either of the main characters were used later in anything.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Were they?
I
No.
don't think so.
Yeah, Resident Evil. So the more you know, right?
I'm a big fan of Resident Evil.
I am too. Huge fan.
Yeah.
That's why I was bummed about the whole Nemesis thing.
Right. If they do remake 4, they got to have the guy like, what are you buying? That guy. They can't get rid of that
course,
guy.
everybody knows that guy.
Yeah.
If you play that game, you automatically know. What are you selling?
Right.
Yeah, and the random places he was at. It reminds me of like some guy that's like flashing you, throwing. The first time I saw it, like,
Yeah.
what's he doing?
Right.
Oh my god.
He's just got all this junk in his coat.
That noise, that that heavy trench, and then all of a sudden you get a huge menu of things you can buy. How do you fit all those in there?
Rocket launcher and everything in there.
Yeah, exactly, right? You've got to have him.
Right.
That's what's like, you can't mess that game up because you would piss so many people off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that because that was probably the most mainstream game.
If you're going to mess one up, mess up 6 or 5.
They did that
something.
themselves, I think.
That's the joke. Yeah. I was just talking to my oldest son the other day about VR, and even my youngest son too. I guess we really didn't talk about Resident Evil. I was talking to my oldest son about intense horror, scary, newer games, right? And thinking about Resident Evil 7, which is the first person one,
Right. That you can play in VR.
correct? And that's what we were talking about. We were talking about VR, or my youngest and me were talking about VR. But I was talking to Joey. Outlast. You ever played Outlast before?
I've played it. I haven't played it very much.
Dude, you got to play the original Outlast, and of course, by now it's a little outdated for graphics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember playing that for the first time, actually on Steam.
That's where I have it on Steam.
It was on Steam. I think I've still got it. It may have been the first game I bought on Steam, and then of course I bought every old Doom, Quake game.
Right.
Just because I'm huge. I don't know if I told you that. Huge Quake.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Doom.
know that, but yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I did a bunch of playthroughs on YouTube.
I kind of suck at first person shooters, basically.
Okay, I gotcha. But yeah, back in the day,
I was pretty big on Halo, though.
I used to, do little game playthroughs. The intro was actually part of a song by Incubus.
Oh, nice.
Which was a what was that song?
90s PC gaming.
So it was just basically me sitting around. That was Incubus song. It was it was off of Science. You know Incubus at all?
Yeah, I do know Incubus, but I don't know. I don't know them super well.
Yeah. So anyway, I fucking love Quake, and then on my my 212 cabinets that I have, I have the Shambler character. I don't know if you ever saw that before or not.
I probably have. I just don't know what you're talking about.
That's okay. Shambler is basically, and now I'm really getting sidetracked. We got all different, things we're talking about. Quake.
The ADD podcast here.
Yes, exactly. Welcome. Welcome. It's called We've Got a Lot to Catch Up On, and Ed's taking it in a million different directions.
That's what happens when we have coffee.
Yes, that's probably part of it too. Shambler, here it is.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, so, anywho, classic Quake. Quake 1, if they remake that game or remake it for me, id, which is now owned by another company that makes Dooms and also the other games, Bethesda,
yeah.
Fallout 4, huge, love that game.
I mean, all the Dooms are getting re-released,
They did?
For consoles, yeah.
I already bought them.
Oh, okay.
They just released Doom 64.
Yeah, I thought
that
was
the
cool.
best game ever.
Yeah.
Never played it.
Really?
The only one I ever played.
Oh,
and
wow.
then it came with Doom Eternal, and I'm like, this is awesome. Why didn't I ever play this game before?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you think it's just like another port of Doom, but it's like its own game from what I understand, yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You're right. It was basically like just a port of the old Dooms with updated appearances on the enemies.
And new maps.
New map. It was all new maps.
Yeah.
It was technically an all new game. It just looked like, maybe Doom 2. More
Right.
like Doom 2, but it was awesome. Recommendation of the month.
Doom 64.
Get it. I don't care how much it costs. It's probably like $5-10.
Or if you have a Nintendo 64, you could probably get it on there.
Yeah. I wonder how much they're selling those for.
I don't know.
Here's one more thing we'll talk about before we wrap it up, because I know we've been talking for a while
Yeah.
here. Market. Is there a growing market out there? Do we see for, I better convert this before I forget. Is there a growing market out there for nostalgia still for Nintendo 64 games, for Nintendo games? I know they're making new Nintendo games.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously at some point, all those old Nintendos are going to have to be pitched because they're not going to work anymore. Is there, is there something out there for that market? Like it's not a Nintendo 64 licensed by Nintendo, but does somebody out there make like an old regular Nintendo, SNES, Nintendo 64, just to play the cartridges still?
Yeah, actually, you can get like cheap clone consoles, which is just, it just like sucks the game off the cartridge and turns it and emulates it.
Oh, yeah. So like a Raspberry Pi kind of thing?
Yeah, but it plays cartridges because it can download the thing onto it. But if you, for higher end people who want like something really nice,
Yeah.
there's a
little bougie.
Yeah, there's a company called Analog, and they make really nice NES consoles and Super Nintendo and Genesis, and they're working on like a Game Boy one now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like a Game Boy that'll play cartridges, and you can dock it like a Switch and play it on your TV.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So that's up next, I think. But they're kind of pricey. It's like $200-$300 for one of those consoles. But I mean, they plug in with HDMI. There's no lag.
Yeah.
You know, they're about as nice as you can get.
Right.
You know, and they're new, and so you don't have problems with the pins not working or
Right.
that
That's what
kind
I
of
was
thing.
getting at, and it's so satisfying because pushing in the cartridge like an old NES cartridge, back in the day, even if it's just pushing it in with one finger, then it's just not quite lined up with the pins, and then you got to turn the power off and you got to pull it out and push it in, make sure it's even in there, or wiggle it a little bit and then hit the power button. I miss doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you get satisfaction out of that.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And like the new one, the one that I have is it's like a Nintendo, and it's got the flap that you open, but the flap opens like the entire system, so you just kind of push it in, and there's no like pushing it down. But
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Flap open or flap close when you grew up?
Well, I like the flap closed, but like after a while I got a Game Genie, and everything went through the Game Genie, so you had to keep the flap open.
True. I ended up getting a Game Genie later on. I didn't have it for NES, but I had it for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
SNES.
Okay.
And basically what he's talking about is you push something into or push something in for the NES, and then you put a game. So there's two sets of pins, right? Or there's pins that go into the Nintendo, and then there's more pins that accept a cartridge that allows you to basically cheat. It brings you into a menu, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You're picking and choosing which ones you want.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's basically like a cartridge that goes into a cartridge. But like, it wasn't only just cheating. Like you could add extra lives or whatever, but like you could make the game harder. You could make like every character in Mario Brothers throw a hammer.
That is awesome.
Something
I did
like
not
that.
know that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's stuff like jump over the super jump where you can jump over the flagpole, and like there's all sorts of things that make the game, extend the playability.
Yeah.
So I used to have a lot of fun with a lot of those kind of codes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean it's fun to cheat too sometimes, and just
It is,
be
which
like
I
invincible.
use mine for.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I just want to see the ending of this game. Let's get,
Right, exactly. That's what I told everybody. I just want to see the end of the game. Yeah, that's it. No, that's what it was though. Yeah, Game Genies. God, again, the market, are those out there? Can you buy those easily, or are those like going for? Because the last time you were here, we were talking about high dollar, low production games. I felt like you told me last time you were here there was some crazy expensive game we looked up that was right. Didn't we talk about that?
Sure, yeah. There's a lot of those, a few of those anyway.
Yeah. So anyway,
the Game Genie's kind of, you can get it okay price. Most of the new consoles that they're making though, come with a built-in one. So
what?
Yeah, so the new consoles that they
kidding.
make, they'll come with a built-in Game Genie in the menu. So
The retro ones you're saying?
Yeah, the retro.
Yeah.
The
Not
retro,
like PlayStation 4 or anything like that. Or
yeah,
Xbox.
no. Like you buy a new Nintendo from Analog, like I was saying, and
And
there's a menu screen when you first turn it on. It says, "Do you want to use Game Genie?"
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal had a fun little thing in it on the recent Doom Eternal, is that you pick up the secrets in the game. They're 3x5 floppies.
Oh,
Or was that what 3x5s were?
yeah, the littler floppies
With the slide.
Yeah.
And and you had So some of the secrets in the game where you found these little, and they were the cheat codes.
Okay.
You can play later on. So it was kind of a fun throwback, right?
Yeah. So that wasn't in the original then.
And no, it wasn't.
Okay.
Well, Doom Eternal is a completely new game.
Okay.
So Doom Eternal is the recent new release that's completely new.
Gotcha.
It's not a port or it's not a remake or a port. It's a completely new game, right?
Oh, is that the newest one that just came out?
The newest one.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Which I just recently beat, and like I said, the secrets were fun because it was like for those who get it, the old 3x5 floppies, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, and it had like when you had there was labels on these 3x5 floppies, and you could buy the extra labels, right? So if you change the contents of the think of it like a flash drive, kids. You could change by putting a new sticky paper on it, and then write down the new contents that were on it. And you can tell some of those cheats, in the game. It looked like, they had been colored on, wrote on, and you can see where they took them off and
That's
then
awesome.
wrote like infinite ammo or something on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun throwback.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, we should probably end this.
All
We've been
right.
talking for a while.
Yeah, it's been
Dan
fun.
B is kind enough to come over and do episode 1 of season 3 is what this is.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
thanks for having me.
I don't know why I label them like that, but I started at the beginning of the year when I first did this, and I just did every year as a season
Okay.
kind of deal. And you're number 31.
Sweet. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming over and having some coffee. Good to see you. Like
to see
always, COVID bump.
Yep.
Don't worry, we're gonna,
I've got sanitizer in my
sanitizer.
pocket.
Yes, exactly. He came prepared. I guess I don't know what I'm doing the next one. I got into trouble in the past saying, when the next guest will be, because you never know what's going to happen in life. But hoping to have another couple of guests rescheduling soon. Scott Rowland, Bob Steinbeck, and also a new guest, Bob Armstrong. I'm going to have him on shortly. But Dan, always great to have you on. Thanks for talking. I feel like we could talk music and video games forever, though.
Probably.
Which is always good and fun to talk about. Remember, kids, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, let Raphael die off first. That's my opinion.
Maybe Michelangelo. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, he's almost equally as bad because the nunchucks really don't go very far either. But they have more of like a range, right?
Yeah, a
Where
little bit more range.
The side kind of does a circle up towards the top, I feel like.
Right. So in the water level, use Raphael first.
That's exactly what I did. Smart man. Couldn't have spoken any better. All right, so next time we'll see you. Give a send-off, Dan. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks.
See you next time.